My eyes work out to television. My spine sinks to slouch. Here I'm doing what I do best, sitting on the couch. I understand the pillow politics. I understand the law of the settee. I understand the chair life, and the chair life understands me. My friends, they don't understand me. And one of them had the nerve to say, "Why don't you get off the sofa and try the couch to 5K? Well, the bum cheek of it, to give up my sofa routine. I assume that's what they're suggesting, though I don't quite know what they mean. Do they think I'm strapped for cash, that I need some money in my hands? I really don't want to sell my sofa. It's definitely not worth £5,000. But by 5K, they meant distance. And by distance, they meant jogging. Apparently I sit down too much, and my lungs, they need unclogging. I clarified I could keep the couch, then hopped on the fitness bus. The guidelines suggested comfy trainers, but I didn't really see the fuss. Lesson 1, don't mess with the guidelines. My Crocs did not suffice. My settee cradled my blistered feet, shins caressed with packs of ice. I learnt many lessons the hard way. I learned some men need sports bras too. I learned jogging speeds up your digestion. I learned the hedge will become your loo. I like to head nod to the other joggers. I like to sprint the last 50 metres. I like running when it stops, because my sofa feels even sweeter.
Hi everybody, welcome to episode 55. This week we chat with Olivia Mulligan, who is a published author and BBC Radio York poet laureate. We chat all things running and poetry and listen to her read some of her funny and honest and real poems. Makes a change, Eddie. It's normally a race to the bottom for us too, but this week we've got some creativity on the show.
I love it because I think actually underneath your harsh northern exterior, you're quite a creative. Slowly we're learning more about you, and you are quite, well, we all know that you're soft and gooey inside, but you're quite creative. I mean, what is it? Teletubbies, Night Garden, that wasn't, that took a lot of hard work.
Action Man. Very
action. Sorry, you don't love me. You always go, yes, Action Man, Eddie, not Night Garden. Go with the Action Man.
I did do some Star Wars stuff once too, actually. That was pretty good. But that was only when, they had the relaunch and it was rubbish. They went back to episode 1. We had to sign a bit of paper to say that we couldn't talk about it, which was quite interesting.
Oh my God, they're going to hunt you down. They probably listen to the podcast anyway. How are you? You all right? You've been running?
I have been running, yes. Should we do me first? I've got a lot to say.
Yeah, you've got loads to say. I've not got a lot to say.
It's been a good week. I can't complain. 3. And I was saying previously, it would always be 2 quality workouts. Well, we went against the grain then. We did 3 quality workouts. I did some mobility and we did 3 strength sessions. So ticked all the boxes. But what I did do, I never like to increase 2 things at once. So although I did the 3rd quality session, I kept the mileage overall for the week pretty much the same as last week. So I didn't go and do, say, a 20-mile run. We've got
the fly on my camera. It's disgusting. It's like something from Lord of the Rings.
Oh, wow. Head over to YouTube, kids. So, yeah, we kept the long run appropriate, but I felt so tired, I just appreciated the few... 15, wasn't a few, 15 easy miles with Rex along the coast. And what else did we did? What else did I do? Am I going to see? Oh, yeah, I did. I don't know if you ever see this. I'm not sure what you have, but on Garmin, every now and again, it gives you these race predictions, what you're based on and what it thinks you're doing. And normally they're mega generous. I think it's had me down for a 2:45 marathon in the past, which is
do you take a photo of that and put it on Instagram and
yeah, I should do, yeah.
Me and McGarmin just hanging out.
Well, anyway, this time it said 3:08, so that's not so we'll see how
Did you throw it against the wall.
It wasn't so expensive. I would have smashed it up. But so yeah, we'll see how that pans out on literally about 3 weeks now. And I was just kind of mourning a bit earlier. I got stung by something on the leg, which wasn't.
Is that? Are you going to keep this story of the sting going for the next 3 weeks? And probably it's going to.
Well, it depends how it manifests.
Has it caused a lot of swelling?
No, not yet. But we have got. We've got.
Oh, don't talk. Oh, I've got a sweating.
I could get stung quite. I could. Steady. I need to tell you, yeah, we have a wasp nest in the loft. We can see wasps buzzing around the gutters. So.
Oh no! You have to get in an exterminator.
Well, my initial plan is wait till winter until they calm down and then get it out.
But don't they come back?
It's hit and miss. Mr. Google said sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
So you just got it's quite expensive. I would have thought an exterminator. Just wait and see.
I need to find out what the proper protocols are with wasp nests.
You smoke them out or something. We've had one here before, but because our winters are literally nothing survives, that it fell off the roof, I think, and then they didn't come back.
This is in the loft, so I'm pretty scared to go in the loft. So
yeah, it's bad that if they don't eat stuff or anything. They're not like termites.
No, we'll find out. But yeah, pretty interesting week for me. What about yourself?
I was just thinking when you said you'd done your 3 sessions, because I find that if you have 2 sessions, and I can cope with a quite reasonable high volume, 3 sessions and that volume stings, doesn't it? And my other running, which is normally pretty fluid in between, becomes more of like a hobble and a proper recovery. So just like you, I've been really focusing this week on keeping those easy runs really, really easy, like trying to wear my kit twice. That's always my aim on an easy run. So come home not sweating. I can't, because I'm the biggest sweater in the world. I literally I go to the supermarket and have to change my clothes. So sweaty. So yeah, and smelly. So I did a 3x, well, it was meant to be 3x5K progressive. You know, we've both been doing that. But I chose a route. It's quite hard to do a loop if you live in a valley area, because you're just going from one valley to the other. So chose a loop, but the first 5K, I'd got to 4K in 23 minutes and I'd climb, it had sort of 300 meters of climbing or something. I was like, I think I'm going to start heading back to the beginning of the loop, because I could be out here all day. Yeah. So, but it was good. So I did that, that was hard. And I'd done a little warm up into it, and I did the last 5K, scared a lot of cows and heavy breathing. And then I just had to sit. There was a bench, and I just had to sit. I love those sessions where you just have to sit and I can't even do the cool down. I cooled down for 3 minutes down to the car, and then you sit in the car and you get the post race stares when you just like sit there going, oh my God, I'm so tired. So that was good. But I find, when you're doing lots of running, that you expect to be maybe running a little bit better than you are, but you kind of have to keep remembering that you've got a lot of volume in your legs. So I try not to like look at pace. I just go on like heart rate or even just perceived effort. It feels really hard and I'm not running that fast, but it's all good training. And then I had a solo weekend, 3 kids, 3 dogs, and Eddie. It could be a chronicle of an Enid Blyton book. And actually I could write probably an Enid Blyton story. It was so adventurous.
You told me off for sending you a message. Day of rest.
Oh, yeah. You did. I had 3 kids, 3 dogs, Eddie. Let's just think about this. Actually, I did a treadmill session of 10 by 4 minutes at 5% with 90 seconds. And I had one child trying to sit on my bike, which is right next to the treadmill, with the bike wobbling on the turbo, as I was like, just move, just be careful. And then I sweated so much that as I went to step off the treadmill on the recovery bit, my hand slipped on the handles and my ankle went over, but one leg stayed on the treadmill belt, and I ended up like going backwards, but with one leg on the floor. Oh, it really hurt, and everyone laughed.
That's an injury. That's an injury about to happen.
But I got it done, and I quite like a treadmill session where you've got 10 by 4 minutes. You do the first one, you think, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I think it's really good ultra training where you have to work through each one. And I set the speed and I'm like, I've got to do 10 at that. There's no question. You cannot change the speed. You've got to do it. Yeah. That's what I like about treadmill running. So that was
you jump straight on it. So you'd like set the speed and it's like go and you have to jump on and you're running, or does it build up slowly?
Well, I always try and do my warm up outside so that I'm only on the treadmill for the session. And then so for that, I just do jump on it, go 4 minutes, and then I jump off, and then I walk for like 90 seconds, and then I just jump on, go. So I had 2 quality, nice long run with a fast finish. And this week, well, I'll talk about this week later. Let's crack on. Sorry,
can we rewind a little bit? I'm curious on your
Here we go.
three times. See, mine's slightly different. Mine's 3 times 20 minutes. And I've never quite achieved, I think on the last 20 minutes, I do 3 mile, but I never quite get the 5K. Do you get the 5Ks do you get a 20-minute 5K? You're doing slightly different to me.
Well, that one last week, I didn't even get to 5K on the first one because it took me, the first one, I think by the time I'd done the loop I planned, it was like 4.2K and it took me 24 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm not so worried about the exact distance, the exact time. It's more, and then the next one took me and then basically what I try and do then is just take a minute off each, but you have to be really honest with yourself, don't you? Because you can go really easy on the first one, and then but this one, instead of doing what I've been doing, which was easy, steady, hard, this time I had to do steady, hard, really hard.
Well, you can even say on our zone, say we do 20 minutes in 2, 20 minutes in 3, there's about 10 beats per minute. So you can, when 4 is coming up, you can just ease off on 3. So you've got a bit more to give into.
It's all about finding the little tricks around. I quite enjoy that though. And I enjoy that as you can build up into it. And it's quite a long session, but you could stay focused throughout it. Without it's not reps, you're not in and out, you're just head down, a good
20,
long
20.
Good long focus, good session. That
we move on though now. My sessions, there's no more of those sessions. It's kind of the next phase in the training, so I'm not too sure. I enjoy those sessions, but no more, not for this block anyway.
Ultra Trail Snowdonia, I've heard all sorts of things about this.
It looked fantastic, my goodness me.
Good. You tempted?
Yeah, I'd really like it. And, well done to everyone there, the organisers. I know Mike put out a post, I think on Friday. I think he was quite anxious because this was his first big event since I think he's managed numbers previous events. So this was quite a lot of people turned up over the 3 distances. And it looked fantastic. The images, Sarah Staveley took the win in the 100K for the ladies, and Mark Derbyshire again. He's a busy boy, isn't he? 100K took the win there. In the 50K, Lauren Woodwise took the win, and Harry Jones took the win there too. Male and female 50K, and the 165K. My goodness, man, that's a long day out, isn't it? Josh Baca Dios and Alison Sheldon took the wins there. Fantastic. Well done, everyone.
Peter Shared, longtime fan of the show, 21st of August until 9th of September, a multi-stage race in Germany from the north to the south, 1,300 kilometers. Wow. Angelika Humenthoff and Fabrice Viaud. Fabrice, that's not a German name. They were the winners. That sounds cool.
It does sound cool. I'll be interested. I know there's a bit of chat about Dragon's Back cost for that. People raise their eyebrows and people do with the spine, and I imagine this isn't cheap too, but the logistics and what you get for your week,
it's a holiday. You're paying for a holiday, but also paying for a lot of pain.
Yeah. It's 2 weeks, I think. This is
it's 2 weeks, is it? I'm
sure I saw 16 stages or something. Anyway, lots and lots of stages over 1,000.
You must lose track of where you are. You're am I
You'd be in this little weird bubble, and all these events can happen throughout the world, and you wouldn't be privy to much of it, to be honest. Back up to the lakes, the lap, we chatted about that last week, 47 miles. And my goodness, mate, it was popped up on the results.
Look who's there.
I thought he was on his bike these days. But
I saw her post saying, well, we better say who it is before we ramble on about it.
Casper Cars. Seberstein, is that correct?
Seberstein, very good.
What was it? And Lucy Gossage. Is that Goss? Yeah.
That's right. Lucy Gossage is a very highly accomplished Ironman champion, multiple Ironman champion, and one of the top GB triathletes, and she's an oncologist, and she was managing her cancer doctor career as well as being a professional triathlete, and she's now retired. She says she's retired from professional sport, and yet then goes and tries this and smashes it and wins it. And I saw Katie, her daughter, posted. Katie, who we interviewed just literally the week before she gave birth to her first baby, and this is her husband Casper won, and he broke his ankle when they were out running together maybe a year ago, maybe even longer, and he hasn't been able to run since, and this is his comeback race with a win. So well done, Casper. Looking forward to seeing you, no doubt probably at the Lakeland 50 next year.
Oh yeah, I have to check out the starting list. I'd be curious to see if he's on the starting list there.
The big news this week was the Dragon's Back race, which I'm sure most of the listeners to this show were dot watching in fascination and maybe a bit of horror of how the 6 days unfolded. This year they had the extra stage as well, which I thought would be kind of like in Cape Wrath. The last stage is really short and is kind of like the glory stage.
Yeah.
And then when I looked and saw the last stage is an extra 63K. I mean, it's huge, and a lot of it is running into Cardiff. So you go over Brecon Beacons and then you run into Cardiff. I loved following this. I love the media furore around it and the videos that they made. There were 367 starters, and in the first 2 days there was a huge DNF rate. It was very hot. The first 2 days are very technical. Only 90 finished, of which I think there were roughly only 40 women that started.
Okay.
And only 7 finished. The winners were Simon Roberts and Katie Mills. So I think kudos goes to anybody who finished that race. I mean, it was very hot, and I think that probably played into a lot of people got very dehydrated the first 2 days, and then were maybe like, this is just so hard. I'm not sure how I can face 6 days. So is that like 25% finished?
Yeah, roughly speaking. Yeah, pretty much.
Finished. So,
how do you train for that? How do you train for?
Well, would you like
the race in Germany? And
I have 100% success rate in my Dragon's Back coaching. So big shout out to my training partner Beth, who was one of the 7 women who finished. Yay! And I'm going to see her tomorrow, and she can't walk. Yay! I don't think there's any like secret ingredient for training in that race apart from to practice some long back-to-back days, practice taping your feet, practice suffering, practice the fueling, and then just be prepared when you go in. Like what I always do with my multi-stage clients, I don't like to call them that, my multi-stage friends, is we go through like the routine of every day, and the routine coming into camp, what you do, you sort your kit, you have your plan, you have your recovery. So it becomes like, you don't have to, you just become this like robot, and then you pack your stuff, you get it all ready, and then you're ready to go in the morning. And it's all just about, it's like military precision.
Has to be.
And it's just about single-minded doggedness, if that's a word, focusing on each day, but being absolutely determined to get to that finish, and knowing that it's going to really hurt and you're going to be ruined, and not being scared of it. Do it. Enter.
No, I'm not doing it. We've got some more Bob Graham round chats if people can't get enough of it. Dougie Zinnes, he has a new double Bob Graham round record. And what is really good with this one, like it was 45 hours and 3 minutes. So that is smoking fast, took 27 minutes of the previous record. And this one was 2 Bob Graham rounds under the 24 hours, which is fantastic. I think sometimes in the past, maybe it's been 1 under and then 1 over 24 hours.
21, 44, 23, 19.
Yeah, now he has agreed to come on the show, Dougie, so that would be nice. Just schedule a chat. So yeah, it'd be great to catch up and just say, I enjoyed my Bob Graham round, but I was pretty ready. I was ready to finish, put it that way. The thought of going again, I don't know how you do it, but it's a different mindset. Well, talk about the Dragon's Back. It's a completely different mindset. Yeah.
Look, we can note that on our question, how we cope with the thought when you've got to go back out. Don't make me go back out there. This week, we meet and listen to Olivia Mulligan, who talks all things writing and poetry and how running has helped her to become a published author. Here is our chat with Olivia Mulligan. We are delighted to have on the show this week Olivia Mulligan. She is a published author and BBC Radio York's Poet Laureate. We can't wait. What a different venture this is for us, Gary. We cannot wait. And I've read some of the poems, which I absolutely love. So we can't wait to get chatting to Olivia. Hello, Olivia. Where are you? How are you? And have you been for a run today?
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on the show. This is probably a little dream come true because it's combining my two favourite loves, really, the poetry and the running. And growing up, they rarely were spoken about together. I feel they're two very different hobbies, different pastimes. So I'm thrilled to be chatting about both of them.
Actually, when I read your poems, you very kindly sent us, I could hear the running in the poem, which I know we're going to talk about more. I could hear the footfall of the running. So actually, they do go really well together, don't they?
Yeah. And your question of have I been for a run today? Unfortunately, I'm going through a tricky period of some off time, but it's okay.
Terrible.
It'll happen again eventually, and I guess it means more poetry writing, or so you should think. Like you said, we'll chat more about it later.
Oh gosh, this is shaping up to be so exciting.
So much of the writing comes from my running, and now I'm not running. I'm in a bit of a conundrum, but we'll get there.
Hopefully we might inspire you today with our excitement and good chat. You might come away and go, I'm going to write a Run to the Hills podcast.
I love it. I love it. You're right about the running in poetry. It's very common. I export a lot of football poetry. I've kind of heard over the years, but to have a running poet, I think it's a refreshing change and fantastic. But I'd like to go back, if it's possible. Could you share with our listeners a bit about yourself and how you got into running? That'd be super interesting.
Yeah, sure. So I was not a sporty child growing up at all. I actually, did face some ill health through my teenage years, and it almost seemed my future was written out for me that I would never be a sporty, fit person at all. But luckily, health got back on track, and it was around, I think I was about 17, purely just because some of my friends had signed up for the Race for Life, the good old Race for Life 5K. That's what I tried as my first event, shall we say. Although it was my dad, when I'd signed up or was thinking about signing up, his attitude, he said, are you sure you don't want to do the 10K? Why would you just do the 5K?
Love Dad.
So maybe from that moment, I jumped the 5K. I skipped the 5K bit, and I did go straight for the Race for Life 10K. And from then, I was hooked. It really, truly, I was. Not that I was the best runner at the time, but starting university, I thought I'd love to be in a sport of some sort, and running's maybe the only thing I can do that doesn't cost the earth. And I signed up for cross country and athletics and just loved it. And I'd have never dreamt this in a million years, but by the third year, I was president, and it was totally my thing. And running is just something so close to my heart. Like many people, you just fall in love with it, don't you? It seems to shape who I am, what I'm about, and that's why sometimes time off can be so difficult, because it's a bit of an identity crisis, I feel.
Oh goodness me, I can identify with that.
in a nutshell, that's how I got into it, really. And
I love it how you can do, like you say, the race for life. Myself, the Great North Run was a big kind of starting block in the running, and where it ends, well, not even ends, but where it kind of leads to, it's amazing, and all different stories and backgrounds. It's brilliant.
And I think, Olivia, when you've talked about your little running break, and I think if you try and think of it as a journey, you just talked about like that journey that you had from being a teenager through and at university. And I always try when I have an enforced break or I make myself take a break, that if I think of it as a journey and it's not the end, it's just a new chapter. And that this is just a different chapter in my running, and running's not going to go. It's a relationship. But boy, when you have a break from it, it's a bit of a heartbreak, isn't it? And at this time when you were running, were you already writing when you were younger, or has that come on a bit later?
Oh, so what came first?
Yeah, what came first? That's exactly what I put. What came first, poetry or running?
It was the poetry. My parents have said it was really even before school, probably before I could write. I was into rhymes, making up songs, and making up my own thing. And I know a lot of children do that, but I think with me, I just never grew up. It's just carried on. It really has. So yeah, I loved creative writing through school. Did it in my free time and studied it at university. But still, all through that, it was always a love and a passion, but never ever did I think I'd actually make something of it. That was never really the goal. I was just doing it because I loved it, and I liked especially maybe giving people poems, whether it's a friend's birthday or I'm at the age now that quite a few of my friends have got married, so I'll do a little marriage poem for them, or if someone's ill, that kind of thing. It really was just a love, and it's only the last year that I would call myself a poet. I guess it's a bit of a confidence boost and a surprise now that I've had two books published, sorry. So yeah, that's the story in a nutshell.
Is there, you hear like say with people who write scripts and musicians, there seems to be like a formula, even for comics, there's certain formulas for certain types of jokes. Is there, when you study creative writing, is there they kind of educate you in a certain way of poetry, or is it pretty kind of freestyle?
I think a lot of it is freestyle, but it's so much about discussion as to what works and what doesn't. But like any art form, it's subjective.
Yeah.
So we studied other poets and their work, and maybe what has been more of a success and what hasn't, shall we say. But at the end of the day, it's a creative art, and I think mainly a freestyle subject.
Could you we've heard how you've got here, could you read us one of your poems now? I'm sure as people are listening, probably on a run as they're listening, and they're like, I've got to look this girl up. So could you treat us to one of your poems, please?
I'd absolutely love to. This one was actually written, and part of my local running group is Thirsk and Sowerby Harriers, and it was during lockdown when they weren't racing properly but having virtual type races. I wrote this one to pin on a gate at the start of where this virtual race began. And it's called The Start Line Tease. Here we are, it's the start line tease, the start line fidgets and the nervous wheeze, placebo effects of those compression sleeves, the burning quads and the dodgy knees, preparing to struggle, to sweat, to wheeze, total discomfort and total unease, overheating to 100 degrees. You freeze. What the hell am I doing? Running with toenails that are blackening and bluing, bubbling self-doubt and negativity is brewing, not fit enough, not fast enough, thoughts are stewing, chewing, chomping through your mind. Stop. Enough. Rewind. Leave those thoughts behind. Let's start again for the start line tease, the start line fidgets, the excited wheeze, wearing your trusty compression sleeves. There's fire in your quads, there's life in your knees, knowing you'll struggle through the breeze. Embrace the discomfort, that total unease. Embrace your body trying to please. Embrace the race and the guarantee, the certainty that you will finish. Your heart will dance with celebration. You will droop and flood with total elation, knowing you gave it your all.
Oh my goodness.
Amazing. I read that and I was so looking forward to you reading it, and you just brought that so to life. I feel quite emotional listening to that. Gary's gone.
Oh, you can visualize. There's so many things there you can visualize from the, like you said.
Only a runner could write that. Only a runner.
Everyone is at a different level. They're on their different journey, but we all as humans have emotions that are probably very similar at a start line, no matter what your level.
I think that's such a unique thing with running, that there's not many sports where you can share the start line with elite athletes, right through to people who just want to see maybe complete the event. And yes, we might think a lot of these runners aren't thinking and having those emotions, but like you said, yes, we are.
I remember an amazing conversation at a start line before. I was on holiday, very lucky to be on holiday in such a beautiful place in Mammoth Lakes in California. And it was at altitude, and I did not plan to do a race, but one happened to be on when I was visiting, so I thought I've got to, just for fun. And I met a guy on the start line who was just really impressed that I was from the UK, and he said, excuse my accent here, but he's like, wow, do you often do international races? And I just thought, no, that makes me sound so much better.
I hope you said yes.
No, I said no. But yeah, there's that real, I think, bond with others at most races, definitely.
And how do you, I don't know, it seems like a bit of a strange question, I suppose, for myself to ask, but how do you think of your poems? Is it, when you're out running, the footfall, the sound of nature, or they just kind of come at you from any angle?
It's something I often wonder about, because they often take me by surprise. So I do think, is it the movement and the rhythm that running creates anyway, or is it maybe the increased blood circulation, so my brain is working a little bit better maybe than if I was just sat at a desk trying to write? Definitely inspired by nature as well, but I think probably the main thing is that movement and almost that tunnel vision type effect. I also used to, when doing drama, back when studying, found running amazing for learning lines. So you'd look like an absolute nutter saying your lines out as you were on a run. But any monologue that needed learning or any revision, just keep repeating it as you run. I think it has that, I don't know, effect, whether it's linked to our, I'm no scientist. I'm going to stop there before I make a fool of
blank. I go blank when I'm running a day. It's
well, there's not a lot going on up there, is there, Gary? So it just sort of closes down for a few hours.
2 books. You got 2 published books, Poems on the Gatepost and Advice from a Stranger. Yeah, could you, if any of our listeners kind of wanted to find those books, what they might expect from them too?
Sure. So the first book, Poems on the Gatepost, was my unexpected dream that happened, really. That was written last year. It was the first lockdown. I was given the letter saying that I was needed to shield in the clinically extremely vulnerable category, and it meant that I couldn't go into work at all, or I work in a cafe, and so I couldn't make people coffee from home, and I was in a bit of a sticky situation, and felt really, really down, very confused about what on earth I was going to do. And it was actually my mum who suggested, why don't you write a poem every day? I guess she was thinking it was my other love and something to keep the morale up.
Yeah.
And I did, purely because I had nothing else to do. And that challenge, though, of writing one every day, just within a few days, it wasn't a challenge at all.
Yeah.
It ended up being my absolute favourite part of the day. And basically, each day I'd pin the daily poem on the gatepost at the end of the drive for passers-by to read on their daily walk. And that's how the collection formed, really. The time seemed to zoom by, and suddenly I had 70 poems from 70 days.
Wow.
And from this sleepy little village, word crept out a bit, and the local radio had got involved. And before I knew it, someone wanted to publish it into a book, Fisher King Publishing. And that's how Poems on the Gatepost was created. I've got a running poem from that book if you want me to share one.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
I think inspired by, I just knew through what was going on in lockdown, so many people had taken up running and that kind of thing, or just being a runner. I thought maybe more people could relate to this than usual because more people were getting into running.
Yeah.
And it's called You Know You're a Runner When you're crazy becomes a compliment and foam roll becomes a verb. You'll leave your phone at home to ensure you're not disturbed. Undisturbed by a phone you run to think or not think at all. The dream is to feel a euphoric high and the nightmare to hit the wall. You know you're a runner when at least one of your toenails is black, pressing against various shoes for cross-country or tarmac or track. And when you hear the phrase 5-mile run, that actually sounds quite cathartic. You get giddy when you think of speed work, and you don't laugh when someone says fartlek. You know you're a runner when PR doesn't mean public relations, but a personal record, a personal best, the result of strength and determination. And the phrase, it's all downhill from here, sounds like music to your ears, but the thought of a week off running will fill you with dread and fear. You secretly practice your arms up pose, crossing the finish line, and you'll run round in circles in front of your house because you can't end on 4.89.
Gary is laughing because he does all of that.
Guilty. I'll visualize the finish line.
Oh, you're a runner, Gary.
I was going to ask, do you ever suffer from creative block, or as a runner, sometimes I definitely suffer from procrastinating, just doing everything before I get out the door. It doesn't seem like you do 70 poems, in 70 days. That's fantastic. But yeah, do you ever struggle to put pen to paper?
Yes, but there's something, I guess, similar to running, a determination thing. Sometimes if you put the pressure on yourself, or maybe pressures come from a deadline or something, and you just think you got to do it. It might take long. It might take longer than in an ideal world, but you'll get there. Or it may not be the best thing you've ever written, but I think the hardest thing is just putting that pen to paper. One of my favorite things I was told relating to creative writing was being told to just have the ugly baby. And what she meant by that was, you've just got to get it out. You can tidy it up and clean it up later, but just have that ugly baby, get it out. So that's what I try and do when I'm stuck for words or lacking inspiration. I just try and create something, whether it's ugly. You can sort it out later.
Fantastic.
What's next for you, Olivia, both in running and poetry? Maybe they're interconnected, but what are you working on at the moment?
So I've got some various really lovely, exciting projects going on writing wise. Like I said, the running's taken a back seat until I'm up to full speed health again. But I'd just love to link the two where I can. I'm not sure whether there is a need, a desire for that from people listening, but yeah, I'd love to do more running poetry if people would like to read them.
We all know popular online retails, but is there any place that you'd prefer to point our listeners to if they want to buy any of your?
Yeah, so those popular online retailers that you mentioned, they are there, or often local bookshops. If you just order from your local bookshop, they'll get it in for you, and then that supports local as well. Or you can link up, follow, like my page on social media, and if it's to the UK, you can get in touch and I can send out a signed copy.
Oh, that'd be a treat, yeah.
Do you like reading your poems out loud to an audience? Are you often surprised by the feedback you get when people might laugh at bits you think are not funny? Or
yeah, it's a real buzz performing the poetry. Actually, that's the nerdiest thing I've ever said.
Oh, I can imagine you bring. Well, when I read it, I can imagine, but hearing you actually read it as it's meant, as you've written it, is of something really special.
Yeah, so I've got a few like poetry festivals this year. So I've done a couple of performances already and got a couple more later on in the year. And I get, like, maybe the start line of a race, it's pure nerves and, you know, many a toilet trips and whatnot before, being really nervous. But the actual buzz and the high from it is fantastic. And it's just a feel-good thing, hopefully, for everyone involved. I'm trying to think as well, when I get nervous, that the audience will be extra kind, because we've just had a really boring year locked away. So I think everyone's a bit more up for it, aren't they?
Yeah, oh my goodness me. Yeah, and you can give a shout out to those festivals if you want, where you'll be appearing.
Yeah, sure. So later this year in October, I'm at Ripon Poetry Festival, and already I've been at Rural Arts in Thirsk and the Deershed Festival, and they were both absolutely spectacular events. So thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cool. And if our listeners want to connect with you on social media, Instagram and stuff like that, are you on Strava? All that kind of stuff.
You know what? Honestly, with Strava, it's something I'm a bit jealous I don't have, but that was a platform I had to be so strict with myself when running, because I am just too competitive, and it would take over. I mean, I would be the worst version of myself.
It would be a good poem, though. Strava takes over my life.
I'm writing that down as we speak.
You can have that, Eddie.
You can credit me in the next book.
No, I'm not allowed to.
He is actually writing that down, everybody. When you read that one.
But yeah, social media. I'm on Instagram, Liv Mulligan Poet, and a Facebook page, Olivia Mulligan Poetry. And on the Facebook page, I've got quite a few of my videos of performance poetry and that kind of thing. Some spoken.
When you write the poems, are you performing them in your head? Because you talked a little bit earlier about learning lines for a play. So are you? Because sometimes with poetry, maybe it's more personal and it's to be read inside your head. When you write poetry, is it to share and to read aloud? Do you feel?
I think the majority of it, yes. I have the odd, maybe slightly more insular poem that maybe works best just for a page. You know, someone just snuggled up on the sofa with a cup of tea and having their own moment with it. But a lot of the poems I write, I like to think they could be performed as well.
Right. Gary, you ready? The big part of the interview, the deep and meaningful part.
Quick fire questions. Right. Am I doing this or are you doing this?
You're doing it. You're best at this. I'll start answering them.
You're on a desert island. We'll see, I've gone straight in there. I'm visualizing this one. You're on a desert island and you could share the desert island with a poet, past or present. Who would that be?
Ian Macmillan. I just think he's a legend. I think he'd keep things upbeat. He's very, very intelligent man. I'd probably learn His Tricks of the Trade, and Ian McMillan.
Very good. A movie you have watched more than once?
Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
That is honestly, I feel if it's
You took so long to think about it. I was like, she's going to go like Room with a View or something.
because I was thinking back and forth, are they going to judge me? Are they going to judge me?
No, we don't judge.
I don't care. Let's be honest.
Here with a packet of Graham's Crunch Creams, Fox's we don't judge.
No. When I think about, I'd like to think I could drag out some really deep and intelligent movie, but it would be something like Finding Nemo or Toy Story or something if I actually added it all up.
I tell you one I do love though, maybe with a little bit more meaning. I love Thelma and Louise.
Oh yeah.
I think that is a film I've watched I've watched it multiple times, and there's something different in it every time.
Yeah.
I think it's a really powerful film.
It's a good film. Early bird or night owl?
Such an early bird. I'm so embarrassing on an evening. That's would almost be one of my goals, like a New Year's resolution, is to try and be more fun past 8 p.m. 7 p.m.
Oh, but I love it when it's kind of 9:30. I start looking at the time thinking, oh, we'd be getting bed soon. If I'm in bed by 10 o'clock, that's a victory. I think that's
9:30. I've had a couple of hours sleep, Gary. 6 o'clock, I'm out at 6.
Yeah. So you see early bird though, what we're looking at? You 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock?
I think a happy time for me is about 6, but it is later now, just so I don't annoy my partner too much. I'm taking one for the team.
It's hard, isn't it? My husband's a late owl and I'm an early. I get up. I'll do like chores. I'll have done 2 hours housework, sorted everything, and he's like literally just coming round. But then like 10 o'clock, he's like, I'm going to start this new Netflix series. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Right then, next one, pasta or potato? Oh, it could be any carb actually. Bread, rice. What's your favorite?
Ooh, bread, really good. Yeah. Fresh bread, crusty, nice crusty baguette.
Yeah, I love the smell of bread. We've got a bread maker and we use it quite a lot actually. And the smell of bread, I never get tired of that smell. Oh, what's my next one? Oh yeah, is there any place in particular that is very productive for your poetry?
No, probably just outdoors.
Outdoors, yeah.
It doesn't really need to be a certain space. I've got very fond memories where I mentioned before in Mammoth Lakes. Probably anywhere up high, anywhere in the mountains. But yeah, first will do for now.
When you think of these poems, how do you remember them if you're out and about? Do you record them or do they just stay in your brain? Or
again, the crazy person thing, I do have to say them out loud, like all the way home.
Chanting them.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. So that's usually how it works. I don't often, probably should for safety reasons, but I don't actually often go out on a run with a phone or anything.
Yeah.
And it's purely then in my head, chanting, try and remember.
Some people who are runners around your area are going to go, oh, she's a poet. We thought she was just the local crazy lady.
Seriously, yeah.
Join the dots. Would you run with a watch or without a watch? Easy run.
Probably a watch, actually. If I'm really wanting to not go too fast, just to make sure you're on top of it. But equally, there's sometimes that mood. I don't take things that seriously, where you do just want to have a trot around without even thinking what pace you're doing. So there's that mood as well.
Those runs, they're the best ones.
They are, aren't they?
Just miles with Rex, not caring about the pace. It's great.
I'm actually thinking, when I do get back to running, that I will have maybe a complete shift of how I do things. And I'm actually not sure I'm going to train with with a watch anymore. I think I'm going to get, an very old-fashioned stopwatch, so I know how long I've been out. But all these stats, I don't think are actually for me. I think it messes with my head too much.
I think you go in seasons with running, and I am probably heading more towards how you were thinking as far as training and the stats and stuff like that. Maybe I'll get more into it later, but yeah.
Yeah, it's never say never, but I just think especially for that time of getting back into it, I will just be appreciating being able to go out at all.
Yeah.
So take it back to basics is what I'm thinking.
There's another poem, Back to Basics.
She's writing it. She's writing it down.
Can we finish? Oh, what a treat it's been to talk to you, Olivia. Can we finish with your last poem of choice? Explain to us a little bit about why you've chosen it and treat us by reading it as well.
So here goes. It's called Am I Still a Runner If I'm No Longer Allowed to Run? Identity is meant to be your blood. Identity is meant to be your soul. Identity, the remedy that should genetically, mentally control. But destiny, the chemistry, the choir, the ecstasy, the melody of you. Regrettably, my weaponry backfired. Now jealousy, now self-pity, I'm blue. My identity was meant to be I run. But medically, the remedy is rest. Currently, my identity has gone. My identity now cannot be expressed. But identity isn't meant to be a sport. Identity not meant to be a goal. Infectiously, impressively, I fought. But today I fight and write to find my soul.
Amazing. Words that I feel every word of that, and I felt it, but I could never express it like that. But you say that you can't express your identity, and that yet you're doing it in such a beautiful way.
I feel as every day goes on, it is getting easier, and coming to terms with the current situation. And although it is a bit of a long journey, it's not necessarily forever.
Exactly. It's a long chapter which you don't really want to read, but you have to get through it I'm reading a book like that at the moment where I'm like, just got to get through it. I can't finish this chapter. You will finish it and running will come back to it. But you wouldn't have written that if you weren't experiencing that, which is often the sad thing about creative subject, isn't it? That to people that write amazing things have suffered as well.
I know, that's so true. And, sometimes it can be hard really to express pure happiness and joy in creative works as well. So as horrible as, a breakup or something is, you can get some cracking poems from it.
Well, that's what Gary and I always say about the podcast. When things go disastrously wrong, races go wrong or injuries or whatever, we're like, it's great content for the podcast. It's all people want to hear. They don't want to hear about us flying around happy. They want to hear about disasters.
Oh, dear.
Should we do one more? Is that okay?
Yes, I will have to now find one if you give me a mo.
Just take your time. I'll slurp my tea.
I love it. It's like an audio diary. It's fantastic.
Couch to 5K. My eyes work out to television. My spine sinks to slouch. Here I'm doing what I do best, sitting on the couch. I understand the pillow politics. I understand the law of the settee. I understand the chair life, and the chair life understands me. My friends, they don't understand me. And one of them had the nerve to say, "Why don't you get off the sofa and try the couch to 5K? Well, the bum cheek of it, to give up my sofa routine. I assume that's what they're suggesting, though I don't quite know what they mean. Do they think I'm strapped for cash, that I need some money in my hands? I really don't want to sell my sofa. It's definitely not worth £5,000. But by 5K, they meant distance. And by distance, they meant jogging. Apparently, I sit down too much, and my lungs, they need unclogging. I clarified I could keep the couch, then hopped on the fitness bus. The guidelines suggested comfy trainers, but I didn't really see the fuss. Lesson 1, don't mess with the guidelines. My Crocs did not suffice. My settee cradled my blistered feet, shins caressed with packs of ice. I learnt many lessons the hard way. I learned some men need sports bras too. I learned jogging speeds up your digestion. I learned the hedge will become your loo. I like to head nod to the other joggers. I like to sprint the last 50 metres. I like running when it stops because my sofa feels even sweeter.
Awesome.
Oh, that is so amazing.
Yeah, what a treat. My goodness.
What a treat.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, guys.
Thank you so much, Liv, for coming on the podcast. You've made us very happy this afternoon.
I've got cheesecake.
Cheesecake from smiling and listening to your poems. And we hope to see you back out on the trails when you're in full health. And in the meantime, get writing, get a bank of poems, and then you can just go out running as soon as you're better.
As soon as I've written Strava takes over my life, I'll send it to you.
Yay.
Strava palaver. Yeah, any top tips you need on any sort of rhyming.
I love the accent. I love, sometimes when you listen to like a song, the artist loses their accent, but poetry, it seems that it emphasizes the accent. I really love that. It's fantastic. Okay. Well, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. And I know our listeners will too. So yeah, you take care.
Look after yourself. Speak to you soon, Liv. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye. That was awesome. That's really refreshing change to interview someone that's just not running. Brilliant. I love that.
Right, what we got coming up?
Well, I know local to me, and it's on my radar because previous guest of the show, Gareth Pritchard, is taking part in the Harbour Moors 60. So that's I'm not too sure what the forecast is for the weekend. So yeah, good luck everybody doing that. It's a really popular race, and yeah, great route too.
We've also got the Ring of Steel up in Scotland. I've had a look at some smoking fast elite runners up there. And a good field as well. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. Few runners who've been over in Chamonix as well. So that's either going to be a disaster or they're going to feel super strong and with no altitude feel all that oxygen. So we will read those results out next week.
So what have we got coming up, Eddie, this week?
Oh, I've got a big week. I've got little bit more running to do. And then Thursday and Friday, I'm doing 2 big days. Ooh. 2 race-specific days, race pace, 2 30K days. So I've just been planning my route because I've been trying to get it at the same elevation as my next race. I'm going to pack my pack. I'm going to have everything, race breakfast. I'll drop the kids at school and then I'll head off and try and simulate like race intensity. Yeah. Quite hard to run race intensity for an 80K. I was thinking about this morning, thinking I can't remember when I last did an 80K, how hard you go. Do I go hard, because the race, like the 40Ks or so I've done have actually been like between 5 and 6 hours of running because there's so much climbing. So I'm like, how do I, so I'm going to have a feel around and feel what works. And I'll be able to know if it works because then I've got to repeat the exact same thing the next day and see if I can then be just as maintain that pace again, basically. Yeah. So I'm just thinking, do I do the same route twice? Or do I do 2 different routes?
Well, I wouldn't want to do the same route twice, but I definitely see some benefit in that because you're going to be out for a long time and, you're kind of practicing this repetition. So there is some benefit, and then you obviously can kind of benchmark one against the other. It's a tricky one. I like the idea of that. Normally for me, I would because we don't have your kind of terrain where I live, I'd probably go to the lakes maybe and then run to somewhere, spend the night and then run back the next day. But so it's the same route.
I might get a phone call from like school and stuff if I did that going, your kids, what?
I like that. I like that, do the same route. That's what I do.
It's a lovely route. So it's not a chore. It's not a chore because it's up and down the mountains, around this lake, through these refuges. It's got something for everybody. Yeah. So it's not, and I haven't run it yet this year. So I might do that, or I might just that second day head out and go, oh no, I'm going to go. So that'll be good. That'll be good, good fueling practice. Good, just seeing where I'm at. Cause it's so hard to tell when you're in the middle of a long training cycle. Like you don't feel very fit. Well, I don't ever. I just feel like I'm just tired.
Yeah.
What about you?
We are, and I think it is going to happen.
What's going to happen?
Well, Neil, Robbo, we're going to go to the lakes and do a buttermere to Keswick out and back. I'm not too sure actually if he's going to start at Braithwaite or we're actually going to start at Keswick and then do the Blencathra loop. I'm leaving that up to Neil, the logistics of that, but pretty much Lakeland 100 route. Be a nice change kind of from being on the Bob Graham round route all the time, and should be moving a bit quicker, especially.
Yeah, that's quite fast is a big word, isn't it?
On the way back, when you come out of Buttermere, and then once you kind of start descending to Braithwaite, that's a pretty nice run in. And then once you get down to Braithwaite to Keswick, it's pretty flat anyway. And not the most scenic.
What sort of time of day are you doing that on the 100? Is that sort of relatively?
When I did it last time, and assuming everything is going well, it was pitch black, so it's morning.
Yeah, it's sort of early morning, isn't it?
Yeah. And it'd be wicked because of all the navigation issues I had when I did the Lakeland 100 last time, it was that transition, the little section in Keswick when you get on to the, as if you're going to go back up to Latragan round Blencathra, that area. So I kind of faffed around there for quite a while. I'm really looking forward to that. Go back over there, and I don't think the forecast is bad. So it'd be fantastic. And the session's getting bigger. It's 3 times 15 minutes. One of the sessions, if I do that with a 90-second recovery. And then this is one of my favorite sessions that we do. It's a 10-minute hard, and then it's 3 times 5 minutes, and you get into zone 4. So the 3-minute ones to get into zone 4 are going to be a lot quicker pace than your 10 minutes. And then you finish off with the 10 minutes at the end.
Will you have a gel or something in that?
No, I'll take something with me. But usually on a session, no, I wouldn't have a.
Do you know, I took some fuel on that progressive run we talked for ages about that I haven't before when I've done those progressive runs, and I took a bottle of Tailwind, and it did make a big difference actually for that last 20 minutes when you sort of start looking for a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. Yeah, I have I do have a
but it's hard to, I would prefer, because also you do get a little bit, it's quite nice if you just have a bottle to just sip as well. And you can sip as you're going into that session. I mean, that's hard to, maybe not that one, but maybe a 3 by 15 minutes. I'd want to have something in that 90 seconds, just to, if anything, just to moisten the mouth.
And one of the sessions was a 3 times 10 minutes, which probably won't do that one, but I may incorporate that into, I haven't talked to Neil about this yet, but the Buttermere run. So because you'll have some really long climbs, and that's an issue that I have where I live, is there's no 10-minute climbs. So maybe we do a little bit of 10-minute efforts coming out of Buttermere.
So if Gary's not here next week because he's died,
it should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Just keep eating.
Competition. Come on then, you explain this one.
Okay.
I like the sound of it.
But this was my idea, and it's basically because I want a new playlist. I probably listen to music, maybe like 2 runs a week, and podcasts maybe once or twice a week, but quite a lot. It's actually, fun enough, quite a lot on easy runs. I quite like just listening to my feet and just being there. I don't know about you. So we thought for the next couple of weeks, it would be quite fun to set up on our Facebook page, a put down your favorite tune that you like to run to. Put down your favorite tune and why you love to run it, and we will choose we will try and put them all. I will try. I might be shoot myself in the foot here. I will then make a Run to the Hills Spotify playlist,
A lot of
which
admin,
you can
Eddie.
then listen to. You are going to enjoy my musical choice because I'm going to put about 10 of my top favorite West End tunes in there. So I'm going to set up a...
No Will Young in there.
Oh, of course. You start with a little Will Young. I'll try and make it as well so you can start with a bit of gentle Will Young. Then we can go into sort of Bryan Adams and then a bit of AC/DC. And then we can finish off with a bit of quiet Nashville. Anyway, we digress. Gary's dying. So on Facebook, I'm going to put name your favorite tune and why it's your favorite tune. And I will make a Run to the Hills Spotify playlist. And Gary and I will each choose our favorite song and the reason why. The person has put that's their favorite song, and you will win a Chia Charge goodies pack with a bag, some Chia Charge bars, and whatever else Tim decides to throw in there. The competition will close on Tuesday, the 28th of September. I will pop that into the notes so you remember, because sometimes people keep entering even though it says so. You'll be disappointed. So get thinking as you're out running, what's your favorite tune that either really gets you going, gets you motivated, or sometimes I listen to some really sad ones and they make me a little bit melancholy, but I quite like that too. I'll try not to put too many.
I'm trying to think, actually. What would
be yours?
I'm a metalist, see, so I bit of Megadeth, bit of Slayer, bit of something like a bit of Anthrax. They'd be my...
None of those are going to go onto my Spotify playlist.
What?
Soon.
What? You want a bit of Megadeth? What's wrong with you?
We're going to open it with some Megadeth. I don't even know what that is, but...
It's better than Bryan Adams, put it that way.
That is shocking.
Not as successful, financially successful anyway. Yeah. Did he have that? Was that Robin Hood song, wasn't it? That literally learned everyone's ears for about 16 weeks.
Will see.
All right, I wish I hadn't said it now.
That's a classic. Right, everybody.
What a treat.
Can't wait to see this. What a treat we have in store for us over the next few weeks. Good luck with all your training, Gary. Don't overdo it.
You ready?
Keep going with the Chia Charge bars. That was episode 55 of Run to the Hills. I'm Eddie Sutton.
And I'm Gareth Waits.
And let's run to the hills.